Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Kris West. On the show today, we have Mike Gamble. He's done a number of tool posters, and we talk about literally every single one of them. Make sure you watch the video to this because there's a lot of visuals to go along with the audio. Make sure you go to rockabilia.com for all your official band merch, t-shirts, hats, and posters. They have a lot of really cool posters, too. Officially licensed, really cool artists, and use Spiral Out at checkout to get 10% off. Thank you for listening, and here's Mike Gamble. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Kris West, and on today's episode, we have returning guest Mike Gamble.
How's it going?
We had Mike on the show, I don't know, about a year and change, 2 years ago, maybe now.
It might even be longer than that, man. It was like, okay, maybe 2 years ago. The last 3 or 4 years has just been a blur at this point.
Your first tool poster had just came out, I think. I think we did it like
right.
day after your first tool poster came out.
That was 23?
Yeah, which was it's 2022? No, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a blur.
That first tool poster was the figure walking into the portal from a real space.
Yes, in Italy.
In Italy, and that one exploded, right? Everybody loved it.
Indeed, it did.
At the time, I remember people saying it was the most Tool-esque poster.
The Toolest tool.
The Toolest tool poster that they'd seen in a long time. And since then, you've had 5 more tool posters come out, I think.
5 or 6. Again, it's been insane. There's 2 this last. There was the 2 Europe. There's the Colorado. There's I've lost track. I think it's 7, but it could be 6.
Right. That's all right. You've had
there's been a few.
At least 7, if not 8.
Right.
Tool posters.
Somewhere. I was so close to hitting a 6, 7, and I stopped myself.
Right. We're too old for that.
We're way too old, and I'm glad I didn't do it.
But for those that haven't heard the first episode, give a little recap on how the first one came about, and then maybe continue from there, and how the journey has been from, having to wait you had to wait a couple years for the first one, even though you knew it was coming out.
Right. So that was, I guess that's why I'm so confused about it, because it was 29. Now it's all kind of coming back. It was 2019. It's like November 2019. And just through the beauty of the internet, I posted stuff. I had seen the artist Carly, who did the Philly show, that tour cycle. She had posted on Reddit. We connected through Instagram, just chat, and I just asked her the exact same question. How the hell did this happen? Purely through Instagram, same thing, just tagged people to no end relentlessly, and it somehow made it into the DMs. Adam just like very casually was like, hey, can we use this? Can I use this as a poster? Of course. Then COVID hits. So like that was like in the works, November. COVID happens. Now it's just this kind of radio silence, tour gets canceled. I'm thinking the sky is literally falling for us all in society. And then meanwhile, just like career-wise, I'm like, oh my God, is this really happening? I came so close. And then, 3 years it went by. And I got to give him credit. He's like such a good dude, man. Like, Adam Jones. Yeah, like I'm some random dude on the internet. And this man was still like, every once in a while, just message checking in. Hey, dude, haven't forgot about you. There's like a laundry list of people that we still have on the docket. Like, just hold your breath, stay in there. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, again, worst case scenario, it's still cool. I'm still messaging with the guy who I made the thing inspired for. So like, regardless, it's still cool. Long story short, it ends up becoming a thing in 2023. And then since then, it's just been kind of same thing here on out. Every once in a while, out of the blue, I'll get a text message or a call, and you got any art?
Oh yeah, it's that casual.
It is that casual. The last time he hit me up, it was just like a quick what are you doing? I had to pull my car over. It's like, oh shit. And like, it's just very, it's surreal. It's very surreal. It's simultaneously like normal. And then every once in a while, I have these realizations of like, this isn't normal at all. This is very weird, you know?
On one level, he is just a person.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But on the other hand, he is a mega rock star.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like interesting kind of having that like duality constantly where like I do realize both sides of it. Where like it is just a like we're all just people living our lives, doing our thing, you know? It's like in one way it's like it's not that serious, but it is that serious, but it
Yeah.
isn't, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's serious enough because this has I'm only guessing, but has to have like at least propelled your career as an artist.
That is the other part of it that like I don't even know I think they're kind of aware because I've told them like 1,000 times at this point, but like exactly that. Like it's opening up opportunities that I didn't even think were viable. There's like local galleries that I've been trying to get into my entire life that now are asking me for my
Yeah.
artwork. There's galleries in California that are now reaching out to me. So that side of it is like you really can't quantify how helpful that kind of thing is as an art. You know, like anybody who does art for a living knows the grind, man. Like you just got to make it at the end of the day. Like it's just up to like the love of the game kind of thing. And if stuff happens, it happens, but like it is a grind. So like that side of it is like you really can't even put a number on it, you know? It's such like a it's like a spotlight, you know? And then like the fact that like I kind of love when they use me like for the European tour and then this now New Zealand tour. It's just like physically showing my artwork to literally the opposite side of the globe. And it's such
Yeah.
this like it's the dream. It really is to the max, more than I could ever ask for, you know?
Do they tell you when your poster's going to come out?
Well, like I'll know. I mean, obviously, I'll know like what the tour is, but up to this point, every time it's just like a luck of the draw. And now the last, I think the Europe and the New Zealand tour, I was the first day, and it's
Yeah.
both times is like this. I wake up to a billion. My phone is literally melting. Like I guess that was today, which I kind of love. I kind of love the whole surprise of it. You know?
I got a little taste of that the other day,
Yeah. Right. Right.
where just like all of a sudden your phone explodes and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. What is happening right now?
I have 1,000 notifications all of a sudden. And
It's fun.
yeah, it's a little stressful.
A little bit. A little bit. It gets over like my eyes start to burn by the end of the day when it happens for
Yeah.
sure. And I'm very like OCD even in my practice and like just in general. So like I like to do my best to like reply, to even just hit the like, just to be like acknowledge. You know, people are like supporting. So I like to do my best to like engage. And when those days happen, it's a lot.
So I kind of want to go through each individual poster. So
Right on.
we kind of spent the whole episode on the first one, right? If anybody listening wants an in-depth dive on Mike's first tool poster, a guy walking through Portal in Italy, I'll leave a link in the description for that episode. But we can move on to the second one, which I think is Fresno. The listeners might not know this. Use Tool as an inspiration before they even picked you as an artist.
Mhm.
Like you had a goal. You were like, I kind of want to go in this direction, at least inspirational wise.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's like a bit of a little manifestation and just kind of hopes and dreams vibes, but also just like I said, like I make regardless. Like I don't know what it is. Ever since I was a little kid, there's just like this drive of like if I'm not creating something, I'm doing something wrong, or like it's just not like it just doesn't feel right when I'm not making something. So like whether this happened or not, I was gonna make these, and like
yeah,
having that inspiration of Carly with her piece and like seeing that that's a potential, even regardless of how small that was, it was still a good kind of catalyst to you know come up with just imagery and and obviously like their lyrical content and everything's so dense that like I feel like it's like a never ending kind of pool for me to kind of pull from. I can still probably come up with like another dozen if I went back in there, you know?
Yeah. This second one from Fresno, with the cicadas, what's the name of this piece?
That one was about, it's going to be interesting to kind of like pick my brain to go back into the mind frame of that one. That one is based on the Calling Voices piece. And
Gotcha.
that was, who was it? It was either Socrates, and there's like this old fable of Plato. It was a Plato fable about the sirens, and the siren song would lull these men into becoming cicadas themselves. Essentially, it was like this cyclical kind of thing where they hear the song, they sit down and listen to the sirens, and then they become cicadas, and then they start playing the song to then lure in more men. So it was like kind of playing on the idea of like kind of like animalistic tendencies, human. I mean, a lot of this work is based on this kind of like knife's edge balance and like this reflection of life as I see it anymore nowadays, where it's like we can either go towards this animalistic death cycle or we can slowly pull our way out of this type of thing. So that piece was the figure kind of getting rid of the animalistic, taking off the mask and revealing the like more, sacred, spiritual aspect of life. And then like the fact that the moon is like kind of whispering into the figure's ear. It's kind of being influenced by nature, influenced by this kind of like otherworldly kind of essence kind of thing, that pulling us away from the more animalistic tendencies, kind of being driven by our animalistic brain more than thinking analytically. That's like the general vibe that I was trying to capture with that one.
Nice. The being behind the mask obviously is maybe not obvious, but it's a figure kind of in that culture of transcendence. Like I've seen this being done in different ways.
Right.
This underlining being, you can see the muscle, but they just look omnipotent in a way, or godly, or
exactly
not human, not your average human, right?
And I think that's why, like, obviously there's like influence of like the Alex Gray and the more visionary artists, and I think the key thing that I love about that work is the stripping of these superficial things that we're using in our world to other each other. And like I like to have my work be as like stripped bare as I can possibly get. And obviously this one, like, I'm always like kind of trying to think about that. Like whenever I come up with a figure or a reference, like race and their ethnicity, all that stuff comes into play. And I want it to be as open as possible. I want every person, male, female, the whole spectrum in between, to be able to resonate and interact with the work no matter what. So that's like kind of the main goal. And that's why you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. Like those figures are as close as I'm trying to get to this like kind of intermediary essence of like something we all share kind of thing, whether that's spirit or the, ego. So it's like things that unify us all is the main goal.
The ohm in the head.
So that I think it's antimony. It's the alchemical symbol for antimony, which is that was representing this like animalistic nature. So it's this is so long ago. Normally what I do when I create is I'll take like the lyrics, the song, my own interpretation, or just like a direct one for one kind of bouncing back and forth. And then like I'll find, like I said, like the Plato kind of allegory, or I'll find different things in mythology. And I just like, it's like the snowball effect. I'll like kind of pull things, find that story. It'll kind of like spur a visual for me. So in the process of that, I found this idea of antimony, and it was, I want to say it's like the wolf moon. And again, it was just like to represent this animalistic quality of human being, kind of like the lizard brain, but also like the fact that it's the God figure. So it's almost like embracing it. Like it doesn't have to be a negative. We can be animalistic and we can it's not none of these things are necessarily positive or negative. It's just using them to a more positive means.
What I like about a lot of your work, and maybe this from at least this painting going forward, a lot of them feel like they take place in space,
Mhm.
like in deep space. The first one is obviously a wooded area.
Right.
Again, there's a physical representation that you can go to that you used inspiration for. But this one and the ones moving forward all kind of take place in a higher plane.
Right.
It seems. How conscious were you of like moving away from real world settings?
So that really so my old work, I did printmaking. That's what I got my degree in college, and a lot of that work. I wonder if I could even like pull some out of my flat file. It was always. It's interesting. It's like almost identical in a weird way, where it would just be a vignette, like just the silhouette of a skull, a figure, whatever. But it was always floating in the whiteness of the paper, in the void of just the printmaking paper. And it's like I would always try to break away from like normally if you're making an etching, a woodcut, it's the square of your block, and you same sort of thing with that original piece. It was like, and even still now that original Loveland piece is so foreign to me because I don't like doing space. It's like I think I talked about that in our original conversation. I'm like having to paint every single square inch of the canvas and like account for depth, and like it just was foreign. It at the time I was like there was just something about it where I was like, ugh, like it just doesn't feel right. So like this is just like as time has gone on, I'm doing a solo show in Philly the next first Friday, and this was actually one of the questions about this space, and it slowly occurred to me that like it's a similar void. It went from the white paper printmaking void to this literal kind of space, like literal space, and I think it's having to like psychoanalyze it. I feel like it's just like kind of how I feel about existence at this point. I feel like I'm just like watching. I'm just like sitting here observing horrors and positive things but like
Yeah, beauty there somewhere.
I feel secondary to it in some weird way, And especially like thrown into this world of like art, like as artists, we are this like it's a weird world, I'm like
Sure.
secondary to everything. I feel like I'm not in this like the same grind, and like I've somehow circumvented it somehow, and like
Yeah, you don't have the 9 to 5 is what you're saying.
right. I mean, I have the now 24/7, but I get
Which
to
is
at least
a
do goofy things with my 24/7.
yeah.
Smear oil paint on a panel for 16 hours straight,
Put Tibetan sand in.
crushing sand and putting into my oil paint, which I still do. I'm running
Uh,
low. My
you get
supply is getting low.
any anything other than Tibetan sand did you put in the second one? Any
I have not. I was considered. This is like very bizarre and strange. So we had a pet pass like tragically and suddenly, and I had considered putting some of his ashes into some of my work, but I feel like that would be more for like more personal. So I don't know. There was just something weird of like sending him out into the world on paintings that are going to be in random people's houses that I was like, there's something like more esoteric about because the Tibetan sand I believe there's a large group of Tibetan monks in Philadelphia. The main monk that I've seen do these sand mandalas is his name's listed multiple different ways, but Losang Samten, I believe. It's listed as Lobsang sometimes. I'm probably butchering it, but he gets the sand from Nepal. It's like coming from all over the world. It's ground. I think originally it's ground precious stones, like the blue is opals, the red is sapphires, but regardless, the stuff he's using supposedly is all from around the world. So it is this like kind of otherworldly, mystical, special sand. So until I
wait,
run out of that, I don't know. I don't know what my next,
you're gonna have to get moon rocks
if I can get my hands on some.
or like meteorite.
You're right. I mean, that's supposedly they say that's the same, more or less the same thing.
Right. I'm gonna move on to the Ontario one.
Mm-hmm.
That is the angel-like
Yeah.
being towering over the earth, and it has the moon cycle above her head, or its head, in a kind of halo. Golden apple, and then like infinity snake eating. There's a lot of stuff going on in this one. How subtle this is and minimalistic, but at the same time, there's a lot going on here.
It's interesting. Like, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, this was one, as I completed it, I thought that it needed more in some ways, which now in hindsight, looking at it, it is a lot. So this one was same thing. This is like based on the symbol too. It's I forget which specific material in alchemy it is, but it's supposed to represent the goddess Eris, which is like the goddess of war, strife. And the golden apple was given, I believe it's like, again, this is so long, I'm probably going to butcher the whole story, but I believe it was like the Trojan War. It was the start of creating chaos on Earth and strife between human beings. So this figure is just supposed to represent, again, very similar themes really towards all of these pieces as I'm even looking at them right now, is like this kind of knife's edge of humans. We can either succumb to our animalistic desires and tear each other apart, or we can work together, move towards a more progressive, more positive world type of thing. So and then somebody, the owner of the gallery in Philly, Lauren, she pointed out, she was like, is the snake, this Ouroboros devouring, so is that Norse mythology? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she pulls this thing up, and it's literally like word for word exactly what I was thinking. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, of course that's what it meant.
It's also an infinity symbol, right? At the same time.
Yes. So there's apparently this Norse mythology of a snake devouring itself that wraps around the earth and like is consuming the earth and constricting the earth. And I was like, wow, serendipitously, yes, that is exactly what I was going for, but had no clue.
I think I don't know. I really like the first one because I have it and it sits on my wall of fame of guests behind me.
Right on.
And not only that, I think I was the first one where you put a doodle on it.
Yes, you were my trial and error of diving into remarks. Yeah.
Yeah, remarks. But out of all of your posters, I think this one is, I don't know. Every time I look at them, I'm just like, well, no, I don't know if I like that one better or that one. But this one kind of hits all the marks for me again with the moon cycles, even the shadow behind the golden apple, the detail, stuff like that. I find to be quite interesting. And then again, I can't tell if this one has like religious undertones because of the angel wings.
Sure,
and again,
subconsciously,
and by religious, I don't necessarily mean Christianity,
right?
maybe spiritual in general, but again, if angels did exist, they may look like this. I have no idea. Again, right. we're talking about fifth dimensional beings, maybe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I'm sure it's creeping. I mean, I was raised in like a Catholic house. We went to, church until I was like in my teens. Before that, kind of just like trickled out. We didn't do that anymore, but like I'm sure it's ingrained in there and even if I wasn't, I feel like it's so, especially in the US, it's like it's everywhere. It's like kind of in the zeitgeist, in culture. Angel wing. I mean, it's in so many films. It's so like I'm sure it's crept in there somehow. You try to think of like exactly like extra dimensional being. I'm gonna like think that it is some sort of angel, god. Kind of just goes hand in hand.
I like how balanced it is as well. This piece.
That's interesting. It's like I had this teacher in high school. I went to this place, Creative and Performing Arts. It's like pre-college for art, essentially, in high school. They teach it exactly the same. You get 3 major classes, 4 academic classes, taught you all the main things. And I had this teacher, Miss Boonin, still to this day, it's like burned into my brain, where she says like, no bullseye compositions, balance. It's all about, and like, I still do it to this day. I mean, I'm looking at all my posters. They're all bullseye compositions and I can't stop it, but kind like there is like this obstinate part of me that's like, fuck it, I don't, it's
Sure.
kind of what I love the balance. And some of them have a little bit more dynamic. Like the last one we were just talking about is a little bit more balanced. I feel like one of the more recent ones that I did is a little bit more dynamic, 3/4 views. But like there is something I just love. I mean, like back to the Mandela Sand. It's like I love the symmetry and the balance of something
Yeah.
that is bullseye comp, like and perfectly, balanced on both sides. I don't know. There's just something pleasing for me when something is like that symmetrical.
Yeah, no, it's again showing like the eclipse, the other side, again with the moon phases one on each side, the snake, even how the continents are in the planet
Right.
are on Earth. That there's two hurricanes. I think that's what they are.
hmm hmm I mean, that this one was based on Tempest, so it was like my literal, I mean, quite on the nose, literal depiction of this kind of world ending, these massive storms, and again, like trying to like natural human whatever affecting the earth and kind of tearing it apart or cleaning it or this kind of cleansing starting over again. I try to keep it like ambiguous. It's like I feel like a lot of them have a kind of dark tone, but it's also like even with the like these flayed figures there, it isn't like, at least I try to make it like not grotesque. It's supposed to be kind of like this like kind of middle, it's like
It's so funny. Again, you were telling me this one is inspired by the song Tempest, right? And how you were describing this in relation to that. Again, my interpretation of the song Tempest is probably completely different than
oh, I'm sure,
yours.
right.
Not only that, again, you made this piece of art, but I don't know, I haven't talked to you in I mean, we've chit chatted here and there, but not about art
Right.
specifically. When I look at this, my interpretation is that of something extremely positive
Hmm.
and like protective.
That's so
And
fascinating to me. This one to me is like the most doom. That's
really,
wild.
to me, all I see is like protection and safety
Interesting. Interesting.
and like symmetry
Hmm.
and balance.
It's so fascinating. I mean, this is literally the goddess of death and strike. So it's like it's
Sure,
so fascinating. And
sure.
which again, in a way, like I said, like I mean, you're kind of hitting what I was going for is like it isn't necessarily negative. Like I feel like we are at this point where we do kind of need to rip a band-aid off type of thing. And that's kind of the energy that I wanted to put into this piece. Is like we are at this weird crossroads as humanity, and like whether good or bad, like these gods, especially in like Greek mythology, I feel like they're not like personified in a way. It is kind of this like in the same way that my work and like this upcoming show that I made is like this secondary, like they don't really like go by human rules. It's just like it is what it is. And that's kind of how I guess I interpret this, like whatever these beings are. It's just doing what it's doing. What is going to happen is going to happen. So it's interesting. I kind of love that you see this as like a nice
Protective.
protective being. I'll take it.
Again, it's again with me not knowing anything
hmm
that not knowing that it was Tempest, not knowing, you know, what I guess some of the imagery historically means, just straight visually, like the feeling that I get is that of balance, protection, and like symmetry. So
I love
yeah,
that.
it is. Yeah. The next one you did was Vienna, I think.
That's
And it is
the Earth
Portal.
figure. Yes.
Yeah, two figures, male and female, Earth, and like a Event Horizon
These
black.
were these were the first. So going back, like these were the first. I guess this is the third piece that I did. So this is the first time I delved into painting. Actually, so everything is pencil except the Earth and the Moon, and obviously like the gold leaf for the Metatron cube. And this was based on Descending. Again, I mean, it's like very similar themes just because I feel like that's like a lot of Fear Inoculum is kind of feeling those same kind of vibes. So like this was like a building block of kind of really getting the like, the confidence to get into painting. I'd done painting again, like in high school. I learned how to do oil painting. I took multiple classes in college, but never made work like real actual work in oils, acrylics, or anything. So I had done 2 complete pencil drawings, and then this was the first one where I did pencil. And then I'm like, well, I guess I could have done colored pencil for the earth. Like, I guess I gotta like kind of jump in the earth. Especially the earth and the moon, like really kind of made me, I guess, just realize like I might be able to figure this out. Like, I guess I kind of know what I'm doing here. So this specific one was like the next jumping point. I think the next piece hasn't
Excuse
been
me.
used. It was a painting I did for Invincible where it was like this disintegrating figure. That was the first full oil painting that I did. But this specific piece definitely was like this nice kind of like jumping block into it. And it's interesting that they use these almost
Later.
most recently, that it's like, I don't know, I look back at these and I like not cringe, but it's so different from the work that I'm doing now in oils. I would just like have just painted this had I done it.
Yeah.
I definitely would have added some color to the figures. I kind of like that they're monochromatic in some weird way. It kind of ties into the, what do you call that?
Is it the Einstein Rosen bridge?
Yes, yes. But that's basically it's depicting the mass of and again, like Knife said, it really is like almost one for one identical to the same theme as the Tempest piece, where it's the Earth is representing this more natural effects on Earth, humanity, the physiological effect that the Earth has on human beings, whether we're aware of it or not. And then again, this like these beings are kind of just like watching over humanity, not involving themselves in it, just kind of these like observers sort of thing, like these omnipotent kind of beings watching over the earth. The one thing that I have, it kind of drives me nuts, and people are so on point, is the fact that this was used for Europe and I didn't put Europe beside. So they're not, just so everyone knows, these are NASA like public domain pic. There's only like 3 good pictures of the Earth from space, and I need to. Had I had enough time, I would have repainted that to make it Europe. Like I am aware.
Well, not only that, I'm sure when you were painting it, you didn't know it was going to be a Europe tool
Yes.
poster.
Yes. And also like
I,
I also try to like always point, like it's the part of the earth that I always see and look at on that, it's like I get it.
I think that's on Adam. He's the one who
Tried.
curates
I
all
could have
these.
done it. It could have been done.
He
Had
could,
I had like one more day.
he could have switched it with one that didn't show just straight America.
Yeah, I mean, especially this one is like so central. Like bam.
Yeah. I mean, if we had seen these aliens' perspectives, I think they would be looking at Europe.
Mm-hmm. True. Very true. Very true.
Half full, right? Glass half full.
Yes, yes, yeah. But it is as time has gone on. I'm like looking at them all. Literally every Earth that I painted is like the same reference, and I kind of die. It's really like, damn. I could have.
Again, you can do that with anything.
Right, right, true.
And again, because you're just getting better and better from what I've seen. Like I like watching your videos of when you do when you show how you painted something, because your video you're filming pretty much everything that you're creating at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just take time lapse of the whole damn thing just for my own sake, and it's just great content. Time lapse videos are just awesome.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. So Descending is, I think, I don't know if it's my favorite Tool song, but it's definitely in like the top 5.
Yeah, it's up. It's a good one.
Because those change daily sometimes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But
I can
definitely see the correlation in
right, the direct like kind of theme, kind of vibe.
Yeah, of just if we don't stop, it's down the drain.
Yes, we are, exactly. It's almost literally a drain. This metaphysical drain. But the thing that like I flip flop all the time, where like this is a total tangent, but like I'm very much like all about protecting the earth, like protecting the ozone, protecting wildlife, the endangered species. I want us to do our best to try and maintain. But then there's this other like analytical part of my brain that realizes like human beings are natural. Like
Sure.
when we talk about, bringing different species to other parts of the planet that are then detrimental to biospheres. Like, yes, again, like on pay, yes, we need to not do that. Bad. But then there's the
Sure.
part of my brain like, how is me taking a worm and putting it as ballast as ships, in the 1700s, and then putting it on our land and destroying the hardwood and the east coast of the United States? How is that different than a bug latching onto a bird and that bird flies to another continent and drops the bug off? So like, I have
Okay,
this,
maybe intention, and
yeah,
knowledge.
the bird can not, could make the choice to, or we can make the choice to not put the worm in.
I mean, once you know, I guess is the real
Yes, yes,
hey,
exactly.
this is an issue. Birds aren't going like, hey, we're gonna fuck this up if we keep doing this.
Fair,
Yeah,
very
they
fair.
just no.
But I just had that's like the way my brain works is I'm like constantly like in this analytical side of like in the big picture, thousands of years are going to go by and the earth is going to be, or I guess this is millennia is going to go by and the earth is going to become a dry rock when it gets consumed by the sun. So like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Look, there's a scientist that I love. His name's Mishikaku. I don't know if you know
Yes,
this.
yes, I love his talks.
He, if I'm quoting him terribly, but I'm sure, but if I remember correctly, he is on the same thought pathway that, all the stuff we're doing is a natural progression of the kind of being that we are. Like
Right.
we are going to go in this direction, and in science and technology are inherently themselves natural
Mm-hmm.
because of the type of beings that we are. Like
Right.
it is natural for us to continue to do these types of things. I mean, I'm sitting here on a computer talking to you,
Right.
like over 1,000 miles away in real time,
Which is incredible.
talking about
Technology, like
it's
I wouldn't be in this position without technology. That's the sick part, like the duality of it. Because I agree, and even like what you were just touching on, the idea of I've always had this idea like so like my generation was this like kind of perfect. And I'm not sure how old are you? I think we're like kind of close. Oh, we're right at the same age. So like
Yeah.
we grew up in a world without computers. Then
Yep.
what was it like middle school by age 8 computer internet AOL instant messengers happening. So like
Yep.
I feel like we have this like weird little window in pre-internet technology, post-internet technology, and technology has this like almost personified human aspect where like we're now not developing biologically through evolution. We're now developing and evolving through our technology and
Sure.
medical developments now with AI and how, again, on paper could be used for great things. If we made some AI, if we were putting billions of dollars into AI to figure out cancers and like, I'm sure it would be incredible. So like, it's this sick duality that human beings are stuck in right now of like, the possibilities are very positive, and technology, like you just said, we are able to communicate with one another on the opposite side of our continent with ease, with clicks. I mean, it wasn't that easy to start at the beginning of this, but
And we had to
figured
figure it out.
you know? So
Yeah.
like,
I didn't have to send a letter that would reach you in, I don't know,
yes,
3 months.
I don't have to send a pigeon. The old timey part of my brain's like, no, the kid should get out there and be out in the name. But then also there is the interconnectedness. I see all the time kids having like large groups with like the online gaming and like the community that creates. I feel like on paper, again, like there's always positives to it. Now, will we take advantage of those and use those to their fullest? That is to be seen. But I don't think
And
it's all inherently just bad,
no, and I don't think it can. I don't think anything can always be
Right.
inherently bad.
Right.
Well, we'll leave the current administration out of it.
Right.
Yeah, we'll do that one. But nonetheless,
Right.
it's reflected in your art. Let's just say that there. Again, even this one with having the Einstein-Rosen bridge at the bottom, there is again the level of nature, technology, even sacred geometry. There are different levels even spirituality in this, if you want to interpret it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I think really resonates with fans of this band and your art, because this band definitely touches on all of those things
Right.
all of the time.
Right.
Technology, nature,
Yeah.
spirituality, desire, sexuality. It's all in there all the time at once.
Right.
And
Right.
this is a good representation of all of that stuff.
I mean, that's definitely the goal, It's like, I feel like when I go into making one of these pieces, it's like I want to put it's like a little bit of everything. You want to put a little bit of yourself, obviously, but then I'm also still doing like almost like this reflection back of the artwork that they've put out, the lyrical content, exactly what you're saying. Like that's what art is in general. That's what all music is in general. You engage, you take it in, you interpret, and then you use that to then, make your whatever statement you are. So, I definitely appreciate that. That is kind of the main goal here, is to like present this art with a way that hopefully, regardless of people being aware of it or not, that it is like, I don't know, trying to make you aware of something that you maybe not of, or make you reflect in a way that maybe you wouldn't. Or, it's like a big ask, when you're creating something visual, to try and have it have any type of effect past being like, ooh, cool, But that is the goal at the end of the day. I do want to make something that is pushing in a direction, even subtly. Put a little
I don't even think
subconscious something in there.
move on to what's the next one? Oh, the penis one.
The penis. That was, God, I gotta say, that was one of the funniest. The memes people share. Still to this day, one of the best ones was the George Costanza. Somebody memed, I was in the pool with George Costanza. That's somewhere on my phone. 10 out of 10. Whoever made that, 10 out of 10. That was
Saying that
a hysterical morning.
this is the only other one that I own of yours.
Nice.
It was a gift. Somebody went to that concert.
Oh, get it.
That one in Italy too.
Yeah, Forensic. Yeah, that was I think this was like a festival, actually. This was one of the first, maybe one of the. No, I think this is the only one I've done that was like for a big festival piece. So that was cool. I know it's extra. This one. So this is the second drawing that I ever did, and this is probably like a sleeper for me. I love the. Damn, I wish I could pull this guy's name. I'm going to say he's like one of my favorite illustrators, and I can't think of his name. He's the guy who did Jumanji. They're just these very, let's see if I have it and I can just pull it up. They're monochromatic pencil drawings, but they're just so rich. And I feel like this is the only piece that I've ever done that has come close to that. He's like, just ever since I was a kid.
But how big is this pencil drawing?
So I make them all the size of but they're all 18 by 24. To begin with, just so that they translate one for one when you blow them up, and they can be used for whatever kind of thing,
Because for some reason, when I seen this, I was like, oh, well, it's obviously pencil drawing, right?
Right. Chris Van Allsburg, that is his name.
Say that again.
Chris Van Allsburg is the artist. I'd be doing him disjustice if I did not shout him out. I believe he's probably not with us anymore. Oh, maybe did I just like doom him? No, I think he's still alive.
So you said this was the second drawing that you.
Yeah, this was the second piece in this series. So I made basically after the first one, I just succumbed and was like, I'm gonna do a drawing. I'm gonna do a piece for every song. And I've had people bust my balls to be like, well, you didn't do one for the the instrumental tracks or the interludes. I'm like, well, it was hard enough for Chocolate Chip Trip without lyrics. So I did the main 7 fully formed tracks, I guess you could say. So this was the second piece. This is Fear Inoculum. And I think this was probably based on, it was either an interview or maybe it was just an article where Maynard had talked about the kind of themes of Fear Inoculum and talking about how breath, one, calms the body, calms the brain, meditation as a form of literal physiological calming, but then also this spiritual kind of calming. So that's what this being represents. That is a oxygen molecule that this being is like. Again, it's like very on the nose, but then also kind of like a spiritual representation of calming oneself. Again, the background is like the, pupil dilation, like fear dilation, the fear response, adrenaline response of the human being. And this is like a being kind of like a protection spell, blocking the human being from freaking out type of thing,
The first thing that I noticed about this one is, as for scale, I'm wondering, your other ones, the beings seem like gigantic comparatively to planets, and this one must be very, very small. Or this eye
exactly.
is maybe one of those giant people, and this is just a normal sized human.
I never considered it. I always see it as big. It's so interesting hearing people I love this, hearing interpretation or how people see, because I never even really thought about it,
Really? You're just like, well, again, you have I wouldn't call it a one track mind, because you're definitely thinking of multiple concepts.
Right. But it is in a world, they are in this kind of, as I was saying, when I had to fill out this kind of form, just it's the first time I've really kind of stepped back and had to explain or even just really think about a body of work. And I do realize I did kind of create a world in a weird way, this weird little group of beings. There's a theme, whether I knew it or not,
I definitely see the theme. Not only that, whether or not you were conscious that you were doing a theme or not, just how you speak about it, you picked an album,
Right.
And you picked 7 songs to inspire art in I don't know about a specific way, but to inspire you in general.
Mhm.
So I think it would be hard to not have a through line.
Right. True.
But again, this one I think is the most drastically different than
Hmm.
the other ones.
Right.
Again, they all have similar elements, right? There are these otherworldly beings. Again, mixture of science and, again, just for lack of a better word, spirituality.
Mhm.
Metaphysics, yada yada yada.
Right.
Again, samurai, but this one again is all black and white. The scale to me, again,
Hmm.
you interpreted him as huge.
Right. Yeah, I always just see the eye. I took it the other way. I just always in my brain assumed the figure is just a normal figure, and that's just this massive being behind it.
Again, not in outer space or the void,
Right. In this void, right.
but still, again, in the world, right?
In the
So,
same kind of space.
uh, and what I also found interesting too is your posters got to transcend through different papers that they've used,
Yeah.
which is interesting to me as well. I've seen you on the original, a little thicker, more sturdy stock, to in Europe where it was a little thinner, until now where they're kind of bringing back even thicker stock.
Right. With the most recent, I gotta say, wow. Just as a print nerd and a paper nerd, they are just
I don't know if
fantastic.
I've seen any of those in person.
They're so good. They embossed different details in everybody's print. Just the paper quality, the foil, whoever they got to do these last ones is just fantastic. And the sad, the Europe ones, I think this previous one, the Descending one, it was interesting. The ones that I was sent, some of them are on a thin stock, some of them are on a decent stock. But the thing I said to people was the foil that they used for those is probably the best of all of them. So the look of those is fantastic. And I tried to kind of talk some people down where they were what is going on? I know exactly what happened. It's you're working with distributors overseas.
Yeah, exactly.
You get them to do a thing. You go. You don't know until you get there, and then you get there, and it's either so we don't have a poster tonight, or it's going to be on thin stock for these first 2 shows, and you guys got to fix it, for the rest type of thing. Also, it's going to go in a frame, so you're never going to know.
honestly, the hardest part is getting it out of the show in
Yes.
decent condition,
Yes. That is very fair. That is very fair.
which I have a lot of experience. Again, I've been relatively lucky. Uh,
Yeah. I've never had any disasters, knock on wood.
yeah, and never any that were
Right.
devastating.
Right. Right.
I've clipped a corner here and there,
I have
but
definitely for my worst the total random tangent, I was at the Black Sabbath, that tour they did was probably 2013. And my worst poster experience, I got one of these like it was either a Emic or I forget who did the posters, some big awesome name. I managed to get I was like one of the last five in the stack. I was good to go. Ended the show and this group of like, I don't know, they were probably like 16-year-old dumped all of their beer on me. And like
uh,
did destroy, but definitely like the last it was in a roll and like the whole side just
uh,
soaked with and it's like again, I collect purely for memento. Like I'm not gonna sell any of these. They're gonna
yeah.
be with me to somebody after I die is gonna have to deal with what
No, I
happens
mean,
with all my posters, you know?
I've dabbled in the like trading and selling in the beginning, but at this point, it's like I just like to have
Yeah.
the ones I get now. I think it's a natural progression,
hmm
you know.
After I feel like you get enough of them and it's like do I really need like for me it's I just like to have the show attended for sure. It's very rare. The only one that I've come even close to trying to barter or trade for was the what is it, the Stanislav? I think it was a New York poster.
I'm
He's
trying
that
to remember.
the artist, it's like an alchemy guy, he's like peeling his skin off, he's got horns. It's like golden with this it's very similar to my work, it's
Sure.
strangely enough. But that one is Stanislav
I'm
Beksinski.
gonna look it up. You said New York?
I believe it was a New York. There's two Stanislavs, so I always mix them up. Oh, so Beksinski is a different artist. This is Stanislav
Oh, do you mean
Belmont.
the
It was
yeah,
Belmont.
Belmont? Yeah. No, I have that one.
That's maybe one of my favorite posters they ever.
I went on like a deep dive.
Zukowski.
Yeah. Um, he was like a in World War II artist that
Yeah, very fascinating human being.
yeah, had to leave Nazi Germany, went to America, like became like a baker or something.
And has like there's a great documentary. I'm sure I think it was on Netflix. Very interesting deep dive into his life and his like kind of regrets because I believe he was commissioned by Nazi Germany and has like, understandably lots of shame involved with it. So like very interesting human being. Great
Yeah.
work, prolific, like just constantly made. I love the pictures of him with like the plaster molds in his kitchen and like
Yeah.
I very much resonate with that,
Maybe this is something I'll cut out, but I'm going to ask it anyways. As an artist, if let's say a regime you didn't quite agree with commissioned you to do some stuff,
Fuck no. Hell no. I've even had this question of like art, like say hypothetically a musical artist ask me that has problematic. No, I'm sorry. No, can't. I can't do it.
it's funny because now that and again it's not this type of show, but worth saying when it's okay to say no to somebody, I guess. But one of my favorite comedians, Mark Maron,
No, I love Mark.
we're starting to find out who's on this Epstein list, who's been invited places, and apparently Epstein was a huge comedy fan,
I saw crazy.
and he invited like Louis Black and Mark Maron, and like I know it's
I
insane.
can't wrap my head around it. And the
They
what's
said
his,
no, obviously, and
right.
you're like, thank God.
Thank God, you're right. I think John Stewart or maybe Colbert
Yeah.
was also mentioned that he wanted to like pick his brain, and they were like, "No, actually, no."
Yeah, no, we're good.
That's a part of it. Noam Chomsky, like that's the part has like really put my mind into a vice where I'm like, was this all? Were we being just like molded by every angle of our society, every
Oh, for sure.
left thinking person, every right thinking person who's all in cahoots to like traffic children? Like what?
And not that they did it pretty easily.
Yeah, right. With zero pushback for 40, or well, this is probably even longer than that. Decade, centuries at this point.
But
Yeah, that's been a total mindfuck.
And luckily, you know, at least again, horrible things aside, luckily it doesn't look like you'd be put in this position to where, you know, guns would be at your head too.
Right.
Which is the
hopefully,
difference.
knock on wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely I've had this hypothetical consideration in my head, and yeah, I wouldn't. It's just not worth it for me. Art is very much for me about community and connection, and really at the end of the day, like some sort, like it's connection. It's like whether you're interpreting it one for one what the artist made, it is all about the human experience, kind of showing whatever your touch, your, you know, whatever thumbprint you want to put onto your meaning or whatever. Because like there's artists that just make still lives. There's artists that make things that have really no kind of opinion or anything
Sure.
within them. It's just purely for the beauty of looking at something and capturing light and capturing a moment, sort of thing. So like at the end of the day, art is to me a very. I mean, obviously, art has been. And now I'm looking at Stanislav and like the idea of art as propaganda and art being used for nefarious means. For sure, that is there. But I think the essence of art, artists, you know, engineers, the like forward-thinking minds, it is very much a pushing forward type of vibe. You know, I think like the peak are engineers, people that can use a lathe and make a thing out of nothing, like just take a piece of steel and with their brain turn it into a functioning, you know, mechanical object is like magician level.
Almost alchemy.
Exactly. It is 100,000% an alchemist vibe, you know?
Yeah.
That's like so out of this world of anything I could even consider even beginning to create something like that. So like I think art is inherently a positive force in the world, you know, whether people even are aware of it or not.
Yeah. Again, anything can be used nefariously, but I think
Without
you're
a doubt.
right. I think inherently art fundamentally even is a progressive attitude.
And even like as a tool and as a, you know, like just the, I mean, I always see like memes where people say like, you know, capitalism and like, I guess society in 2026 has forced art into this. Does it make you money? How do I commodify this? How do I sell this? When, you know, a couple hundred years ago, everybody danced, everybody sung, everybody played music. It was a communal thing. It was a way to connect with human beings. So I think it is inherently human at the end of the day, you know, like it's inherently, it is a part of it. Whether people make it or engage with it, it's part of life since the dawn of time, you know? It is just like some part of our human psyche. Like I said, I can't even describe it and I make it, you know? There's just like something in my brain that's like, you're not doing it.
I have it every day.
Right.
If I get up in the morning and take too long to take a shower and eat
Yeah.
breakfast, there's a voice that's like, you know, you should be editing.
Yeah,
You know,
what are
you
you
should
doing?
be. You know, you could be, you know, out there taking pictures, doing tests. Like, when's the last time you wrote a page in your script? You know,
Yep. Yep.
just
And
it's
even when we're making, even still, I'm like, you could have done more. You could have done 2 paintings this month.
it is the curse. And again, when you talk about like 2026, like, is it making you money? You know, it's unfortunate, but you know, let's even go 60 years ago. You know, things weren't as expensive. You know, you could
Yeah.
survive off of, you know, the world even, you know. Now, if you aren't making 60 grand to 100 grand a year, you will be homeless. Like, there is no ifs, ands, buts about it. You have very limited time.
Right.
You know, if you're not making some type of
Commodifying.
yeah.
Unfortunately, the truth.
Which brings us to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think.
Yes. So the first one was the Yes, Auckland of the two. So this has this is funny. This was a piece that was for this local gallery archenemy, just like has now been reaching out to me to make pieces. And this is like kind of similar back to the very first one where it was like crunch time. I think I maybe had like a month to come up with and finish this piece before their deadline. And I just like threw shit at a wall and whipped it out, had at it and made a piece. And this has probably been the most well received thing I've ever made. And it was like, didn't think at all, had a bunch of assets, I have skull references that I gold leaf to take photo references and shit. And I just threw shit at a wall and like, people vibed with it. So this is actually, it's also been like a good tool for me to use to like kind of understand where to go in the future with my own work. Like, is this kind of like a more type of theme to delve into more? But this again, this is now, and I ran out of tracks on Fear Inoculum, so this is now going back to like Ladder House. Ladder House was like the album that really, we kind of talked about this earlier. I like it all, but that was one of the
Yeah.
first ones. That was like when I was in high school, what had come out most recently and really made me fall in love with the band. So this was, I think this is Reflection was the song that I made. And again, very similar themes. I mean, I feel like a lot of their music is very similar, using the moon as this kind of influence, this kind of being, capturing the moon sort of thing. These symbols above it is like, again, very similar thematic transmutation, you know, enlightenment, that kind of theme crossing within this piece too. So like, again, like I feel like I got to a point now where I have a lot of stuff to pull from. And then, like I
Sure.
said, like it was like a rush, rush to the finish. So I just kind of threw it out there. And then like after the fact, I can kind of parse through and maybe dissect why or where I came up with different ideas, or the gold, this idea of like revealing this kind of golden skull is like this kind of new visual representation of either enlightenment, or I think that's a theme that I'm going to kind of try to push more,
I like
invest in, or
because to me it's a little more. I don't know if refined is the right word, but like I and maybe ironic that this is the one you just kind of threw out there.
as
And
it
to
goes.
me, it seems like the most refined. It's full color, full painted. It seems like a little bit of an evolution too
Hmm.
from where you were because you don't have the being. You still have elements. It's
Right.
still in. Um, you don't seem to have like there is that human. The other beings and the other ones are
Right. They're very humanoid, or like,
yeah, and not only that are usually like one color.
right.
Like
Right.
there's the blue one, there's the pencil one, there's the white one, there even the angel one is all like one color.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
this one, it's the being chopped up like from the movie The Cell,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
many colors. And not only that, it's the only way I know how to put it. It seems more badass, like than a little more like edgy.
Hmm.
In my, because again, even the figure now has like this badass cloak
Right.
and like a little bit more mysterious. Again, all of your stuff is mysterious, but this one seems to me to lean a little more like on the edgier side of that, little more. Again, not inherently negative,
Right.
but
Right.
darker.
I agree. I agree. It does have like a more,
It's
like you're
almost
saying,
there's almost like
yeah,
this villainy
yeah,
aspect.
which is definitely kind of like what I go for. Like I said, like I try to keep it kind of middle of the road, and I feel like the cloak, again, that's like another thing that I feel like I want to kind of parse through a little bit more to maybe like insinuate humanoid forms, but to not like directly have it, be a physical humanoid form type of thing. And I feel like also just visually stimulating wise, like it is just like a
Yeah.
very interesting, timeless kind of thing just to have drapery as opposed to any type of clothing or like, you know, that is a thing like a lot of my professors talked about in college is like once you put clothing, it like stamps an era, a time period, you know? So it's like tricky to try to like circumvent that. Not always drawing nude figures or flayed figures, but still have it seem timeless. It was like again, I think it was just like trial by fire kind of. I feel like I make the best stuff like when I'm pure intuition and like I don't second guess. It's like I don't have the time to question. I just got to make a thing. It can go either way, but I feel like that's like when I'm at my like I'm firing it all cylinders, you know.
The Night 2 Uckland,
Mm-hmm.
the split humanoid figure.
Yeah, so this one was The Grudge. This was inspired by The Grudge.
Okay. I see it. I see it.
So again, very on the nose, literal crown, a lot of themes from the lyrics pulled directly, but like, and obviously the cover art were kind of like pulling from that. And again, like putting my own kind of fingerprint on it, my own kind of interpretation of like I mean, again, we've kind of talked about that. Like, it's like a kind of reflection of their visual themes, kind of some of the creatures they've made in like some of their music videos, kind of thing. Like, this is just, I guess, my spin on that, like the world
Well,
they've made, you know?
we talked about this in the first episode where their art in general influenced you to become an artist. So,
Right,
like, I wouldn't, you know what I mean? You're probably one of thousands that
right.
were inspired by not only their music but the combination of Alex Gray and them, and all the artists they use, Chetzar,
Cam DeLeon.
yeah, Cam De
That's
Leon.
how I said, but I don't know. I probably butchered his name. I'm sorry, Cam.
But again, like these themes and stuff that Tool just happened to like be able to create this universe of. God, again, it's raw at times, it's dirty at times, it's gross at times, it's sciencey at times, it's spiritual at times, it's beautiful. And I think that something that you were doing is kind of putting all of that in together.
Right,
You're like an amalgamation of all that art that now makes posters for them,
right. It's
and it
very
is
surreal.
on.
It's very surreal still. Even
Yeah,
still today, still very bizarre.
and
Like a vessel of a
yeah,
tool
and
vessel.
what's very interesting to me is like, so I've talked to you a few times, and I've talked to Alex Kuno a number of times, and the juxtaposition and duality of you and him is he has not been a Tool fan his whole life. Like he just found out about Tool when Adam Jones. I mean, I'm sure he's heard of them, but like
Right.
he was not. Yeah, he was not listening to them
Hmm.
while he was making his art or anything like that, or really into their music, but it translates very well.
Right.
On the other side of the coin, again, I see elements of him and similar stuff done very like I'm sure differently, thinking about it. But again, it's just an interesting juxtaposition of like how again art, you are influenced by their world, he's not, but it still
Right.
meshes.
We're hitting the same vein somehow, you know? Not that, I mean, that is I think that there's a couple artists that they've said that they were like not necessarily aware at the beginning, and then obviously you become aware after you start
Yeah,
working with somebody. But it is interesting that there is like I very much resonate with like his the because we do have a similar aesthetic. I feel like they are these like beings. They're like kind of like spiritual. He's more obviously like he's great at like putting them in a space and like creating like these environments and his own little world. But I agree, like we it is interesting to like kind of reflect on that in that way. And again, I think it is kind of like we're all tapping into the same thematic or visually inspired. Like, well, again, whether we're aware of it or not, like you watch their music videos, you kind of see the album artwork, you see kind of the angle they're going for, the like the visual representations that they're like pulling towards. Like it's going to lead us in the same world one way or another.
Well, not only that, you guys are in the same world, like
Right. Right.
physically, you were on this planet together around the same time. And tool aside, you went to college
Hmm.
for art. I think he did as well. When we first started talking, you hadn't done many remarks.
Ah,
What is
yes.
what has that been like going back over your artwork? Like I saw one where the two figures that were black and white, you went back and colored them in with like muscle and whatnot. So
I mean, honestly, it's probably been like the most like not only just like fun part of it, but it's like I mean, very rarely in art, I guess even just in my own practice, do you get a chance to like rethink a piece that's like quote unquote done, you know? So like sometimes the Tempest piece for what was that, Fresno, that's the hardest one for me. I actually like what we were talking to, the idea that like when I created it, I felt like it was empty, but now the prospect of like going back into it, I'm like, well, what do I do? What do I put in this thing? But then in other ones, like that one, for instance, the descending piece, it gave me the opportunity. Like, had I redone this piece, I would have painted those figures. And honestly, it kind of showed me that, like, you know what, there is something kind of almost not better, but like there is something good about it being monochromatic and being its own thing. But like overall, the remarks is just like such a fun, interesting thing as an artist to like
what's
rethink, to add to kind of delve back into an idea and like content.
have you got any strange requests?
Surprisingly not. Like I had probably the most out of the left field one was I think I posted it was a Eagles themed remark for that Fresno piece where somebody's a local Eagles fan and they're just like do whatever you do. So I, being a fan myself, did some of their plays and like the stars as constellations and like very much like thematically very like bashing its head, but I think I like accomplished. I used like one of their old school logos that kind of fit with it, and like did
Is that
realistic paintings of the Eagles. It was a fun one. It was like very much adolescent, but having talked to like I think it was either Alex or it probably is Alex Kuno, where he was saying like some people will ask you like because he maybe even asked me the exact question. He's like, "Have you ever gotten any weird stuff?" Because sometimes people come out of left field, man, and like
yeah, how my grandma on this tool poster.
I mean, I'll do it. Like, I'll do whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
I'm easy.
No, I see this eagle one and it has like the Super Bowl stuff on it, the Super Bowl
Yes, our
trophy.
2 Super Bowl wins.
Now again, I don't want to say crazy because to each is their own.
Exactly.
Like whatever gets your juices going.
Right.
You love Tool, you love Philadelphia Eagles.
Merging your
I,
2 loves.
yeah, why not? It's fun. And then I saw you did a piece of art inspired by Rush.
Ah, yes. So that was since the tool pieces, I've had a couple people reach out and just do like potential. That was I'm still bummed out about that. That was like it came to the like 11th hour. It was going to be a 50th anniversary. The guy wanted it to be this like jumbo foil special edition thing, and it made it all the way to the end. It seemed like it was a thing, and then just like kind of radio silence. And he was just like, "Sorry, bud." But like again, big picture, it's an excuse to make some cool artwork. I now get to release. My plan is there's a artist paper manufacturer that worked with I think Chet did a couple of his most recent editions with that guy, and I did my last. I did a foil print of the Colorado piece with him, and the work they do printing is phenomenal. So I'm going to do a foil edition of just like a little quick. I don't know, maybe 10 or 20. I don't know what the desire would be for it. Maybe I'll see how many people want. Maybe I'll do like a timed release or something. But
Sure.
it was cool. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's an excuse to make some artwork. And just like being a fan of their work, it was cool to like try to make this like amalgamation of like how do you capture their discography is insane. How do I put
Well,
50 years into a one piece kind of thing?
well, it kind of leads me into my next question is again, their discography is so massive that you could spend your whole art career
Yes.
doing different Tool songs
Right.
if you wanted to.
Right.
And I'm not saying that would be a bad thing. I think that would be fucking awesome.
Probably will to some degree.
To know you for many years and just see, again, I'm waiting for Parabola.
Yes. I mean, now that I've started, it's kind of like an avalanche. I started it, I got 2 down, so now I gotta, I gotta do it.
Again, I'd be very curious to see what you do with the earlier albums,
Yeah.
that aren't as ethereal or
Kind of a little
metaphysical.
more grungy or
How that might.
darker, or yeah. No, it is an interesting. Because like again, like when you pull from their lyrical content, it's funny hearing that like interview of him recently where he was like, what was it? He was disparaging the lyrics of 4 Degrees and like saying how,
Yeah.
and look, sure, I get it. I get, I'm sure as like an artist, you look back and you cringe at the stuff. Even I do it when I look back at some of my old paintings, but like I never really, I always take it the more metaphysical. I'm not taking it as like a literal one for one, like, oh, he's making a butt sex joke. Like clearly
It's clearly a butt sex joke.
that one
in
is
this
pretty over the top, but
song. It'd be like you drawing a giant butthole
yeah,
and being like,
fair, very fair. But again,
but
I feel like the music, I love that. Like 4 Degrees is such a good
sure.
written,
No,
cool song. So like I don't even honestly it was until
Again-
that interview I never like fully was like, oh yeah, I guess not.
again, of the time meaning too is like that was edgy and clever,
Right.
for 1992.
I mean, you look at 9 Inch Nails, One for One. There's so many of
Yeah.
his songs where I'm like, oh my God, Trent, what are we doing? What are we doing, brother?
Well, again, speaking of them, like, have you thought about, or has any other band approached you? Because I don't know if you're into this band at all, but a lot of times when I look at your work, as Tool, it is very Tool,
Right.
but I could see you doing stuff for like Sleep Token,
Mm.
even.
I haven't done a full deep dive. I know of them. When I get into music, like I go head over heels, like beginning
Same.
to end. I got to know it all.
I know that I'm very stubborn. So when somebody is like, you really need to, if you like Tool, you like this, and I go, nah, probably
Right.
not.
Yeah. Right.
Usually they're
Mm.
wrong, but that was one where I was like, God damn it.
As I've gotten older, like year by year, I've let go of that. When I was like in my 20s, I was like, no, grunge is the best and Tools, and like as I like Lady Gaga's most recent album, love it, fantastic. Her
Yeah.
live performances are like, I just happened that I was watching whatever that most recent festival she had done, and she came on, and I just couldn't turn it off. Like from the second she started to the end, I was like visually stimulated, sonically it's incredible, her voice is incredible. So like I've let go of like if somebody suggests stuff to me nowadays, I'm like, all right, if you like it,
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. I think it's usually when they compare it to Tool is what I'm saying.
Fair.
Where they're, I'm pretty open, but when people are starting to be like, oh no, it's the new Tool, I'm
Right.
like, I don't think.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
Team
But yeah. Lastly, again, what do you got going on? And you say you got a couple of galleries coming?
So I have my big thing. I guess it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I dropped off a bunch of pieces for a solo show in Philadelphia. That has been my like finally like weight off of my shoulders. It's always like a big thing, having to make a whole body of work for a thing. I had some pieces that will be in there. It's artwork for the band Source, and I'm sure you've
Yeah.
seen them around. So
They've been on the show.
they're okay. So I'm working on their newest album is coming out. I don't know the exact day. I think they're going to play it beginning to end in May, I believe. I could be wrong with the specific date, but it's coming out this year. It will be coming out. I'm finally front cover's done. We're doing little tweaks on the back cover, so that's like an exciting piece coming up.
Nice.
But right now, it's kind of like doors, and it's interesting that you're like saying maybe do some lateral speed. Now I have the opportunity of like what for me, what can I just do just to do, So I think that's probably the route I'll go. I mean, it's kind of silly of me to not say Tool-esque right now. just cuz, you know?
Well, maybe have the sphere in mind.
How about, yeah, we didn't even touch on that. What the I don't know how you managed to, I mean, we all know Danny at this point just kind of like spills the beans all the goddamn time, but like, wow,
That was all him.
that was crazy.
I just happened to be the guy he said it to.
How about it?
Uh,
Still thrilling. I'm I'm already saving money.
and hopefully it happens.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, you know, you never know, but it's still cool that that's even a prospect, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they went there, they toured it. I mean, that's what he said.
Can only imagine the visual or whatever. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's going to be like, obviously, anybody that does a Sphere show, it's got to be like so like not scripted, but like very regiment. You know, it's got to be beginning to
dialed in.
end, right? Like choreographed. So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't even know where I would begin to think what they would do. So
Same. I like kind of was trying to ask
right,
a little bit after, like, what, hey, what would that even,
right.
like, what? And it's just,
I mean,
he knew.
right.
He knew when he said it. That's
Was like,
all
uh-oh.
he. Yeah. Like,
I mean, I would only assume they would have to be some of the old videos. Like I think he just like briefly mentioned, like they have to transfer stuff to HD. So like that to me means like,
it's like 16K they have to
oh my
transfer
God,
to.
Jesus Christ. Which I would like to think they still have like the raw files of those old videos. Cause like, I'm sure that's like the beginning. You got parabola music videos. You got to do something,
Yeah.
all their music videos, all the stop motion stuff.
Honestly, if I had to guess, they would have to. They would use that, but it would
Right. It's going to be,
been to the Sphere before.
yeah.
And the way the artist that I saw is actually right up your alley. I don't know who did the art of it, but his name was Anima. You can look him up. He's a DJ.
Okay.
And honestly, it's like he took some of your beings and put them behind his DJ set.
Like have seen at least like little just Instagram clips of that. I do. I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about. That looked, because it's like almost like CD. What do you
Kinda,
call it?
yeah.
Like it's like the IMAX. Like they mess with your like perspective.
More. Let's put it this way. When I was there, they had a shot before he went on of like just the desert, right?
Hmm.
Just like a desert landscape. And you could not tell. Like I was like, I feel like your senses think you're out in the middle of the desert.
Wow.
You're just like, wait, because everything is the right perspective and
Right.
right color, like other than whatever temperature, you're standing there and you're just like, I'm standing in the middle of the desert with a group of people,
Wow.
but you're not.
It wraps, right? It's like,
Yeah.
because in Philly we have in our Franklin Institute we have like a mini. Since I was like a kid, it's like a rounded. I think up until the Sphere, it was like the only this kind of state of the art where it's beyond 180-degree rounded screen. So I get like some. I'm sure it's like a fraction of what they're capable of now. 'Cause
Sure.
this is like when I was a kid, in the
Yeah.
early 2000s, late 90s. So but I can only imagine it, because that was the intro to it. They used to have like I guess it was a helicopters as pre-drone footage of like flying around Philadelphia, and just that as like very rudimentary technology, you would get that sense of kind of like weightlessness and kind of like roller coaster stomach drop.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting to with what Tool would have to do. Again, throwing their old, like,
Mm,
because again, now they can put up, re-edited footage of like the music video and
right,
stuff. I think when you play the Sphere, like it's like watching a movie. They would have to like redo, reshoot,
right.
re-upload, upscale things. It's a crazy thing to even think about, like to what they would be doing. Because the bands that I've seen that are there,
Mhm.
it either like Tool obviously has a very specific aesthetic, right?
Yeah, right.
Uh, this guy the DJ saw had a specific aesthetic and it worked well. But like all the other bands I've seen do stuff, they have their art, but it's almost like screensaver esque.
Yes,
Where
you're
it's
right.
like it's done in a really cool way and cool perspectives and this and that, but it's still just like, oh, it's like a bunch of patterns, or
Hmm.
it's like, you know, Tool's gonna look like it's gotta have to look like the Vicarious video in
Like
fucking
you're inside
16K.
it, right?
Yeah. And there's no getting around like having to, I think, redo some of the stuff, or just like something completely new that we haven't seen.
Right.
Um,
I'm sure they could like take
but
the assets maybe from that whatever the
exactly.
CGI that they use. And nowadays I just know like the what is that one program everybody's like from what I understand, I love that what is it, Corridor Crew on YouTube. They're like special effects nerds where they like break down different and apparently what is it, Midjourney that or not Midjourney
Journey.
is the AI, the
Yeah. After Effects?
after well there's After Effects, but there's like a program where it has all the assets already in it. That guy Beeple Crap used it where it's just like open source. But anyway,
Hmm.
to do 3D imaging, animating is apparently like day to day. It just is constantly evolving at a pace that it just makes it more accessible, and hopefully for us as fans allows people like Tool to like kind of really push the limits visually, you know? It's whatever the main like processing program for
Uh,
3D,
mm,
but it's basically it's like a database that from I'm very limited understanding. That's the one kind of crutch that I had that I wish I took more of when I was in college is the 3D
yeah, no, no.
world. That's speaking a different language to me.
All right. So last question, lasting thought. Now that you've kind of been through this and, you know, started at the bottom, now you're here, right? Any advice, any lasting people listening?
I mean, the one thing that I tell to every like I get this question a lot. I like probably once a week at this point, I'll get somebody in my DMs that's like, "How did you do this? How do I get them to feature my artwork?" And all I can say is you just have to keep making. Like it's so stupid and it's like the most generic like advice, but like coming from my life experience, it's just you got to grind. You got to keep make and it's almost like you got to make just to make, you know? You have to do it for the love of you can't make with this hope and promise of it doing something. Like when I look back at work that I made with that in mind, it's you can tell, you know? You have to just kind of like make you got to do you, you know? You got to push through, be creative, constantly kind of push yourself. Like we need more people like creating and pushing us in a positive way, you know? So I feel like the best advice that I could have got when I was is like you just got to keep at you cannot get discouraged. That is the one thing I will say. Do not get discouraged when like you think because like at the beginning of this, like for instance, when how we started this conversation, the prospect happens in 2019. COVID happens, the world is literally upended, and I had to make this like acceptance of like this probably isn't going to happen. I came close, whatever. Like it kind of is
Yeah.
what it is. But through that, I had to go through this like, holy shit, like was that it? What do I do now? And it's either do I just give up and that could have been it. After that first piece, it was like probably one of the weakest drawings. It hasn't made it onto a poster probably because it's one of the weakest drawings. That was the first one he asked me to use. He hasn't. I made 7 other pieces since then. So like had I just like been discouraged at that first moment because that is the thing about art is it is going to be like 95% you trying and failing. You know, that
Yeah.
is the world. So that is why I really do mean it. You'd have to just keep making, whether you hate it or love it. The stuff that I made that I think is not good resonates the most. So I don't even know. So like you just got to keep making is really
Yeah.
the only thing I can say.
Be open.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Be open to things that you don't think necessary. Because again, like I don't really know. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. You know, you just gotta like
Hey,
take things as it comes.
again, in a without getting into that story too much, say somewhat similar to you. Right place, right time. Somebody
Yes,
said, "Show up here."
show up.
You get minutes with the person, and all of a sudden you explode.
Hmm.
and you're
Yeah.
just like, well,
Your phone is
again, I
melting.
got similar. How did you get an interview with Danny Carey? I don't fucking know. I asked.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I have no idea.
Just showed up.
Mhm.
But anyways, that's great advice, and I think most important advice I hear all the time again from everyone. It's doing something creative is
You
because
just
once you stop, that's it.
exactly, exactly. If you don't make it, then there is nothing for somebody to see and to get the next step, to get the next, you just have to flood the zone, like you just
You
make as
stop
much
learning.
human exactly. It's going to force you to get better just inherently, like whether you're progressing, whether it's becoming that ends to a means or is a big project, regardless, you yourself individually are going to progress just by the act of doing. So it really is like you just got to like head down,
Yeah,
create.
keep grind
Yes, grinding.
the hard parts. Well, Mike, I appreciate you doing this episode. I wanted to get you on again. You've done such amazing things,
Appreciate it.
and
Appreciate
again, it's been awesome to see you. Again, I think we knew of each other before your first poster came
it.
out,
Uh-huh.
and to see the progression and see what you've been doing is again, it's like I would consider you a little more than an acquaintance. We're not close friends, but
Yeah,
but
you're right.
I, you know what I mean. There's like almost like a professional friend thing going on,
Uh-huh.
and I wish you nothing but success.
Same to
And
you, man. Same to you.
and can't wait to see you do more.
Yeah, same. Upwards for us both.
Yeah. Alrighty, my friend. Again, will you give yourself a plug? Where can people find you? Where can they buy some of your stuff? Where can they pay you to be you?
I guess just my Instagram is my like tried and true at this point. It's MIKGM on Instagram. And then there's direct links to my web stores, Left-Handed Press. If you search Left-Handed Press, it'll come up as like one of the main searches. And I guess just to shout out this show, anybody on the East Coast or local, come to Arch Enemy. It's going to be first Friday, I believe it is the 6th of next month. I'm pretty positive. First Friday of March it'll be
Yeah.
Arch Enemy. So that'll be it's my first solo show really since probably college even or like really close after college. So it should be fun. It'll be good. And
Yeah. Congrats.
their artwork again for anybody that's local, I highly suggest go checking them out. They're one of the like places where every time I show there, every time and add artwork to their shows, I immediately am just like, why am I here? The work is such a high level that it's humbling and it's good. It like fires me up to be like, oh shit, like I
Yeah,
gotta
but you're there. You know what I mean?
right, fair. But
Yeah.
they do such good stuff. So I highly suggest checking them out.
It's a gradient. Again, eye of the beholder and stuff, right?
Right. True.
So again, thanks, Mike, for coming on.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you.
always a pleasure. And yeah, go buy his stuff. Ask him to do remarks.
Indeed.
If you have a favorite football team, he'll draw.
Yeah. Unless it's the Cowboys. I'll still do it.
Yes. Again, wish you nothing but success, my friend.
You too. Thanks, man.
Spiral Out Podcast is hosted by, created by, mixed by, edited by me, Kris West. Make sure you go to rockabilia.com for all your official band merch. Use the code Spiral Out to get 10% off your order. And go to spiraloutpodcast.com for all your somewhat recent Tool Spiral Outy news and other bands and such art things.